Thank you for joining us for EDUCAUSE Demo Day Enterprise CRMs. I'm your host, Jason Martin. Please use the chat to share comments or ask questions for our presenters. If you would like to use the closed captioning, please click the CC Live Transcript button on the bottom of the Zoom room. And now please join me in welcoming our presenters from Enrollment Rx. Lawrence, over to you.
Thanks so much, Jason. Thank you, everybody, for joining us this morning. Our topic this morning is to talk about how to best use Salesforce for recruitment and admissions. As Jason mentioned, my name is Lawrence Levy. I'm the president and founder of Enrollment Rx. I'm very pleased to be joined by my colleague, Wendy Hamstra-Smith. Wendy, please introduce yourself.
Yes, good morning. As Lawrence mentioned, my name is Wendy. Very excited to join you all today. I'm based in St. Louis, Missouri. And prior to joining Enrollment Rx, I spent 15 years myself in higher education. So again, thank you so much for the time.
Awesome. So we're just going to go through a few slides, and then really for most of today's presentation, Wendy's going to take us through a demo of a solution of how to best use Salesforce for recruitment and admissions. But to talk about this topic today, we really want to address two primary questions. How does recruitment and admissions and decisions, what we call RAD at Enrollment Rx, how does that fit into an enterprise CRM strategy? And the second question is, how can we make enterprise CRM composable for operational users? So we're going to talk about these definitions. We're going to define these terms. But to address the first question, how does recruitment, admissions, and decisions fit into an enterprise CRM strategy? So to answer this question, we should first ask the question, what happens when recruitment and admissions does not have an enterprise CRM? So one of the most common problems that we see in the market in enrollment management technology, and one of the biggest struggles, is this one here, where schools will say our recruitment and admissions teams are forced to use multiple systems to manage and track prospective students. This is extremely common, and that could be anything from recruitment teams might be using Excel spreadsheets, and the admissions team is using the student information system to manage applications, and maybe there's even paper records involved in this whole process. And there could be multiple disjointed point solutions. Again, maybe prospects are inquiring through one system, applicants are applying through a different system. There's no connectivity between those systems. There's no ability to report longitudinally on where are prospects coming from that are becoming applicants, that are becoming enrolled students. So this is the common problem that we see when recruitment and admissions is not using a CRM system. The way that Enrollment Rx sees the world of RAD, of recruitment, admissions, and decisions, is that we believe the entire process of RAD belongs in the CRM system. So here in the middle, we have this pond of the CRM system, and we believe that all of those recruitment and admissions and indeed decisions should be occurring there. On the left-hand side, we're showing how data sources could be feeding into the system. So those could be anything from search lists, or test score data, or even third-party applications, the Common application or CAS applications that might be feeding into the CRM system, populating that data in the CRM system. And then on the right-hand side, from an enterprise integration perspective, we believe philosophically that only enrolled student data should be sent over to the SIS. We believe philosophically that it's not best practice to be managing applications in the student information system. We believe all of that should be occurring in the CRM system, making decisions in the CRM system, and then again, only sending admitted student data, ideally over to the student information system. So when we talk about that data exchange over here on the right-hand side of this picture, where we're sending data to the SIS and we're even bringing data back from the SIS, that's that enterprise integration. And when we speak to schools, we describe that type of integration from a recruitment and admissions perspective to include the following. So with this slide, we can see here on the left how we have CRM, in our case, Salesforce, but CRM over to the student information system, and we're sending data that way. And then on the right-hand side, we're showing how we're bringing certain data back from the SIS over back into the CRM. On the CRM side, on the left-hand side, if we're looking at Salesforce over to the SIS or the CRM over to the SIS, what we would normally see included in that kind of enterprise integration would be things like general person data, application data, previous high school or college data, right? We're going to send that information, we're going to collect it in the CRM, and we're going to send it over to the SIS. Optionally, some schools might also choose to say, let's collect the family data, the emergency contact data in the CRM. Let's also put that into the SAS. Some schools even would want this all to be real time, right? Many, for example, community colleges where they want applicants immediately upon a decision are able to now register for classes in their student information system. So they even want that to be that kind of real-time integration. But that's what we would see, again, on the left-hand side, sending data from the CRM over to the SAS in an enterprise integration for recruitment and admissions. On the right-hand side, we're bringing that data back. Of course, we're going to bring back the SIS ID and the application number into the CRM system. Optionally, some clients may choose to also bring back financial aid information, registration status, maybe the university email as an example. So that's what that integration might look like between CRM and SIS on the recruitment and admissions side of the house. Now, when you set that up effectively, when the CRM and the SIS are integrated effectively, then the advantages of that type of enterprise CRM are really extensive. I mean, of course, you can go beyond admissions, right? So once you have that integration working with CRM and SAS in admissions, you can go beyond admissions. You can essentially extend the life of a legacy SIS system. You can take a student information system and start to take data out of it and put it into the CRM system that maybe as the next logical step in the student life cycle, maybe would go into student success. So if you're going beyond admissions, next step would be student success. In the SIS, we have data that can affect student success. In the SIS, we might have data like who's paid their tuition next semester or who hasn't paid their tuition next semester, who hasn't registered for courses next semester, who has a low GPA. The SIS knows this information, but the SIS doesn't do anything with that information. It can't do anything with that information. If we take that data and we put that into the CRM system, we can bring that data to life. We can assign tasks. We can send out communications. We can do activities with that data that could engage students and assist with student success. So that is, again, the advantage of essentially setting up that initial recruitment and admissions CRM from an enterprise capacity, and then being able to scale that and grow that beyond when you are ready to take advantage of that. So the next question we said we want to talk about was how do we make enterprise CRM composable for operational users? So to talk about this, we want to first define, what is this term composable? What is composable software? Well, our friends at Gartner, our analysts at Gartner, who focus on the EdTech industry, they talk about composable software as the ability to quickly build new business capabilities. Being able to do things that in the past could not have been changed easily in your software, but now they can be adjusted quickly for better business value. And essentially being able to seize digital opportunities faster and cheaper. At Enrollment Rx, we define this term as the type of software that empowers operational staff to take control without relying on a team of software developers. The people on the operational level know their requirements best. The director of admissions knows her requirements best. She shouldn't have to go to a team, an army of software developers, and have to explain her requirements and wait months for that to be hard-coded, only to come back and in that time the requirements have changed. So that is what we talk about when we say composable software. It's really being able to empower those people on the operational level, on the departmental level, who know what they want the system to do, to be able to make the system do those things. Now, when we speak about composable enterprise CRM, we often assist clients by thinking through this idea of a platform from an enterprise CRM perspective, which is to say that if you're going to have enterprise CRM, it by definition has to be on a platform. We don't believe in having multiple endpoint solutions where you have a CRM for admissions and a separate CRM for student success and maybe a separate CRM for alumni engagement. That would be multiple point solutions. We believe in one enterprise CRM that can support that entire student lifecycle from beginning to end, right? And that is achieved on a platform. As you picked up, I think by now we choose Salesforce as the best platform in the world. We think there's no better CRM platform in the world. Now, when it comes to the platform, your choices again are infinite. You can custom build everything from scratch. You can choose to adopt different solutions. We believe that from Enrollment Rx's perspective, we think that the decision to adopt the right product is the way to go rather than build everything from scratch. So we think that if the right product does exist in the market, that does provide the best functionality rather than having to build everything from scratch. So our idea of composable enterprise CRM is to adopt a platform and then to adopt the products that really do provide for that composability. The best products do provide out-of-the-box functionality so that you don't have to go build it all from scratch. The best products do provide ongoing upgrades. As the platform upgrades, so the products should upgrade. They should provide knowledge base, user guides, user materials, again, with ongoing upgrades to those user guides and those materials, ongoing training, webinars that people can take advantage of. Also, a huge, large user community of other institutions that are using the same solution, that have not custom built it their way and you've custom built it your way, but everybody's using the same set of products that they compare notes and best practices of how are you doing it, how am I doing it? And so again, the best products provide clicks, not code configuration, as we sometimes call it, but that composability, that ability to make the system do what you want it to do. So the right products are designed to be optimum composability. We often challenge clients to think through, is this the easy button for CRM success? What skill set is required to make changes to the system? Whatever you're going to adopt, when you want to make changes to it in the future, what skill set would be required? So as we prepare to turn it over to Wendy, just to set the stage. So we are often asked by institutions that'll come to us and they'll say, look, we have limited resources. We have big goals. We're a small school, but we have big objectives. We want to adopt Salesforce. We don't have infinite resources. We don't have a team of people standing by that are going to custom build it all from scratch. How can our team best adopt Salesforce to power an applicant portal? And how can our team best adopt Salesforce to review and score applications? What is the best approach? So Wendy was very humble in the beginning, but I'll just say that prior to this, as Wendy indicated, she was working at an institution. She was, Wendy will correct me, but was the Associate Dean of Operations at her institution. Essentially, Wendy was on the admissions team, on the operations team, making the CRM do the things that the CRM needs to do for her institution. And so she's a very good example, a real life example, but for today's demo, we're going to pretend that Wendy is that director of admissions or that dean of operations or what have you. And we're going to come to her and we're going to say, Wendy, at our school, we want to use an applicant portal to power, we want to use Salesforce to power an applicant portal. Can you do that? Can you make it do that? How are you going to do that? What's the best way to do that? Wendy, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, definitely. Well, I'll go ahead and start sharing my screen so I can walk you through an example of our fictional university, Enrollment Rx University. So as Lawrence mentioned, I actually had the experience myself working and implementing Salesforce and Enrollment Rx. So today I'm going to walk through, though, our vision at our fictional university, Enrollment Rx University. So as Lawrence mentioned, we're going to talk today about the best way to use Salesforce in order to power an applicant portal, as well as a review process. So for us, we typically use Salesforce's Experience Cloud to power the applicant portal. So I'm going to walk you through the journey of a prospective student who might begin their application by hitting the Apply Now button. So from there, the student might come to a registration page here at Enrollment Rx University. So we have our student, Ellen EDUCAUSE. She started to fill out her form, providing us information about herself, maybe telling us that she is from the US, her citizenship is US citizen. She is looking to enroll as a bachelor's student studying art design. By filling all this out and clicking register, she can land on her homepage here. Now, there are infinite possibilities on how a composable software product like Enrollment Rx can control the homepage of an applicant portal. For today's example, our portal is going to be controlled by this status here, application status. So you can see here on the left-hand side, there's a widget that is telling our student, Ellen, where she is in the process. As she moves from status to status, we're going to touch base on this homepage to show how this whole thing is changing based on this. Again, infinite possibilities, but for today, we're going to focus on application status. So since she's in this profile created, which could be an inquiry or prospective student stage, she's going to see some social media here, perhaps learning about some of the exciting opportunities she has available to her at Enrollment Rx University. She might see her assigned admission counselor who's going to help her through that journey of enrolling. Maybe perhaps see some upcoming events that she can come and learn about Enrollment Rx University virtually or in person. All right, from here, she might go ahead and start her application journey. So we'll move to a different page here and show you an example of a applicant page here, where on the left-hand side, you can see navigable pages where she can move from stage to stage of her application journey. On here, as part of the composable software, she's going to see things that are required. She's going to see information that perhaps is rendered based on her answer here. She might fill out some information here and then hit save and return back to her application portal at a different time, or hit save and continue down the process of applying. The next thing we'll look at maybe is her enrollment information. So she already told us in advance that she was interested in her bachelor's degree in art and design. And since everything we're doing is built natively on the Salesforce platform, that information is feeding Salesforce. And so she doesn't have to key it in again. She always can make changes if she desires. Again, from here, she can hit save and continue back, or she can hit save and return at a later date to finish her application. Again, because it's on Salesforce's Experience Cloud, which allows for that authenticated experience into the application portal. Next up, she might tell us some information about her previous institution. She might tell us she attended a particular high school or a particular college. At your institution, you might allow her to provide additional information about other institutions she's attended by clicking Add Another. So from here, she's filled out again information about herself, her enrollment plans, her previous academic history. So let's head over to her homepage again. So from here, you can see her application status has changed. She's moved from a profile to application started because she started to provide information about herself through the application pages. Because of that, we can see a whole new checklist has appeared for her, or a whole new widget has appeared for her. This widget here is telling her exactly what she needs to complete in order to finish her application. She also will see that she can have specific details here. She told us what college she attended, so she can see that listed here. You also have the ability to upload documents if needed as well. But the idea now is that her homepage has changed because she's provided information about herself and her status is moving. Now, along the way, she might submit her application and her status may change to app submitted. Maybe at that point, she also submits all of her required documents. Because of that, maybe she moves to ready for review. Or eventually, maybe she actually gets the decision rendered. And in her case, congratulations, Ellen, you've been admitted to Enrollment Rx University. So again, as we go back to the status widget here, we can see now that she has a completely different status. She's a decision made. And so again, because of that, she has a new set of checklist items that have appeared for her. And in this situation now, she is now filling out required items that are bringing her to that next step of enrolling and actually becoming a student in the fall or the spring. So we have new items here, such as health immunization forms, perhaps an enrollment deposit or housing application. She might also see that she has a new person assigned to her. So perhaps now, because her decision status, it's telling her that she needs to now connect with Erin Accounting, for example, who's now her advisor. So again, the idea here is that the whole pages are changing based on the decision on the application status, moving from profile created to app started to submitted and onward. Now, I kind of glossed over between the application submitted and ready to review, and I went right to the decision because we were excited she was admitted. But I'm going to back up and address a second point that Lawrence brought up. So we talked a little bit about the applicant portal and how that's powered by Salesforce's Experience Cloud with Enrollment Rx's composable software. But let's talk a little bit about how this application was actually reviewed from a back end. So if I take a look here, I can see as Director of Admission, a list of students that are ready for me to review. I also could see down here the students that I've already reviewed. So perhaps I'm looking at competitive programs or looking at different high schools or colleges and wanting to do some comparison. But for this case, I'll take a look at our student Noah Boyd. He's a Master's of Business Administration applicant. So by clicking on this button here, I'm brought to a reviewer feedback screen here, where I can see all the pertinent data about Noah and his application. On the left-hand side, I can drill into some specific sections to learn more about his application. So perhaps I'll take a look at education history. I can see where he attended, what his GPA was, etc. And we also have the ability to do annotation of documents. So the student has submitted his college transcript. And so with our technology, we're able to make edits here. We can make comments, for example. We can mark up the document, etc. And then on the right-hand side, you can see that there's reviewer feedback. So because the student is a master student, the reviewer feedback that is being displayed today is showing those qualifications, those criteria that are related to his status of masters. So for example, I have work experience listed here, or maybe prereqs, etc. Now, if I go back and I close out this page here and I go back into the reviewer screen, I want to show another example of an application review. So we looked at Noah, who is a Master's of Business Administration. So we're going to take a look at Abigail now. Abigail is an art and design student, and she's an undergrad student. So again, clicking here, I'm brought to reviewer screen as well. But what I want to show you that's different is this reviewer feedback on the right is now different based on the fact that she is a bachelor student. So because she is an undergrad student, we don't see things about previous work history, but instead we're going to see things maybe like extracurricular involvement, interest rating, yield potential. Perhaps we're wondering how likely is she to actually enroll in the fall here. So again, this screen here and what we discussed earlier about the application portal gives us these examples of how a composable enterprise CRM system can be used to empower the application and reviewer experience.
Awesome, Wendy. Thank you. So Wendy, I noticed there that you pointed out the academic level, which on this screen is showing a bachelor's reviewer feedback, right? So I imagine then the scenario here is that we're reviewing an undergraduate application, and as such, we're being asked to score on such things like that academic rating is the first item there as an example, right? But then earlier you showed us a master's one or for a graduate level?
Yes, he was an MBA student.
And it was showing different reviewer feedback criteria. So all of what you've shown us so far, the applicant portal, this reviewer feedback portal, forms, the logic behind that, were you able to configure that all by yourself?
Yes, I can. Yes, I did.
And that's composable software.
Indeed.
You didn't have to go to anyone else. You could do everything that we've seen so far with all of the underlying logic yourself, including that this is bachelor's versus master's, and it should show that academic rating is the first question versus the master's showing the different one.
Yeah, most definitely. So utilizing drag and drop, low code, no code, I was able to build out this specifications. And if there was a new requirement for maybe an associate's program or a special review, perhaps for a nursing program, I could also build that out as well.
Cool. So in the applicant portal, you were showing us scenarios where you were basing it off of like the application status. And you were saying as the application status changed, so the portal experience was changing. But could we do something similar, maybe like this logic, maybe based on the level, like bachelor's versus master or some other criteria? Could that also drive the logic that changes that experience?
Yeah, most definitely. Let me show you, because as I mentioned in the beginning, there's a lot of different examples that could be used to control an application portal, an applicant portal. So like you mentioned, I did the demo based on a student's status. So as she moved from application started to submitted to decision. So another example could be, as you mentioned, comparing it with a bachelor's versus a master's, or perhaps international versus domestic student. So there's a lot of different possibilities. But to go with the point you just brought up, here's an example. So this again is Ellen. She was a bachelor's art and design student. So she had these particular checklist items asking her for ACT, SAT, etc. She saw maybe this particular admission counselor. Now, if Ellen eventually finishes her degree at Enrollment Rx University and becomes a master's student, she might have a different experience. So in this example, she's still app started. So she's still in that same status she was in the previous page, but this time I'm showing an example of her being a graduate student. And just for, again, juxtaposition, I also made her an international student. So on the left-hand side, that same applicant checklist that was displaying previously to her ACT scores and more of an undergrad experience is now showing to her the fact that she needs to turn in a GRE score, or because she indicated her citizenship was international, we now have a TOEFL score. Maybe she again has a different admission counselor that is assigned to her. So again, 2 examples. We talked about status, and we also talked about different student type levels, but again, lots of opportunities and options to make the portal responsive based on your use cases.
Awesome. So can you give us just one real life criteria where you might have to, on the back end, set that kind of composability? Just give us one example.
Sure. So again, lots of different examples that we could show. I think one that could connect with what we were just showing today is the back-end functionality of this applicant portal. I'll show you how those are built and how you can set criteria. So here in our Form Builder RX tool, I might take a look at that started app homepage. So when I come to this page, I have the ability to do certain things on here, such as add different widgets. I'm gonna hit this plus sign a couple of times, drag down here and show you that I added this new widget, widget 5. I can resize it if I wanted to. I could move it around the page. I could decide I don't want it, get rid of it completely. So all of this here has that drag and drop functionality of where you place the widgets on the page, what order, what size, etc. Now you also can set display criteria. So we've got this image here, which shows a series of pictures on our homepage. If I click into it, inside of here, you can also have criteria that controls when things are displayed. So for example, if I take a look at this one here, masters, I can see that I have a series of pictures in here that I'm showing, but I have a display criteria set. So here I'm saying if the application objects field of level, so maybe master's, undergrad, etc., equals masters, show this particular set of pictures. So maybe it's gonna be different than what I'm showing on my undergraduate page. So this criteria I showed you here, this display criteria, this could be done here on the widget itself. It could be done on the home page. It could be done on the individual pages of the application, and so on and so on. And so for us, these are the ways that we use composable software in order to power applicant portals, power the application review process, and much more that we did not show you today.
That's amazing. So, I mean, it really appears that you can set the display criteria and that logic on virtually everything that you've shown us. Is that correct?
That is correct, and many more that I did not show you today.
All right, that's amazing. All right, well, thanks so much, Wendy. That was really great. And I know obviously it's very difficult for us to go through everything and cover everything in these limited short bursts of demos. So for those that would love to see more, I know that we would be delighted to show anybody more. Please feel free to contact us and schedule some time to do that. There's been some great questions in the chat, and no surprise, some of the questions have been focused from this audience on integration and integration with the student information system. Wendy, I'm happy to show my screen, or if you want to bring up your screen, I think it would be helpful if you have it handy. If you don't, I can show it, but just to bring up the PON slide again, and the integration RX slide again, if you have it handy. If you don't,
yes. I'm going to go a little backwards here in time and show you the PON slide. There we go.
If you can go back to the one even, the 2 before this. Yeah, so if we just start here real quick. So the question that was dropped in the chat was, does this integrate with Banner, with Colleague, with Genzabar, with PeopleSoft, with Workday, with Anthology? I think I covered all the ones that were in the question, and more, right? And so the answer is yes. The answer has to be yes. The CRM has to integrate with the student information system. Enrollment Rx has extensive experience with this. We do a ton of work with our clients on this. We have an offering called Integration RX, as you can see here. It's part of it's one of the services we offer from our company, is to support this integration between the CRM and the SAS. The most prevalent, I would say, is Banner, followed by Colleague, Genzabar CX and EX. PeopleSoft is very common as well. The Anthology, Workday, less so, but are options that are available. And then, of course, other custom-built or homegrown SISs that we also work with. The CRM and the SIS has to integrate. The follow-up to that question was, is that out of the box, or is that something that is custom-built for each solution? So to answer that question, our approach is to, if you would show the next slide, Wendy, is to basically say, what does that integration need to include? Now, what is normally out of the box is the green boxes there included. So we anticipate, whether it's Salesforce to Banner, Salesforce to Colleagues, Salesforce to PeopleSoft, you're going to want to send over things like general person data, previous school data, test score data. You're going to want to send that over. Optionally, clients might say, we also want to send over family data, or we also want to send over supplemental data, some type of supplemental data. Or for some clients, optionally, they might say, make it real time, as in real time, real time, not every 30 minutes, real. So that's an option. So is that out of the box? It's configurable, right? I would, maybe it's fair to say 80% of the solution is out of the box. The 20% is, what do you want it to be? Did we get every one of the bullet points you would like here on this slide? Are there other types of data that you would want to exchange that we haven't covered that you might want to include in your project? Let's talk about it. That would be optional. So that's not exactly out of the box, but 80% of the solution is a repeat of the previous project. You're a Banner client. We've done 80% of your project already, I would say, out of the box. It's that 20% of what do you want optionally that you might be different from others. On the right-hand side, it's the same thing. Included, absolutely. We're going to bring back the SIS ID and the application number. Optionally, do you want to bring back the university email? That's up to you. Do you want to bring back the registration status? That's up to you. Right. So these are the things that we would talk about as optionally, but this is our approach to integration between the CRM and the SIS. And it's definitely a service that we think is very effectively provided by us as your CRM provider, because when we have that good communication between the CRM project and the integration project, all being done in-house by one shop, that is, we think, a very good recipe for success. But that is our approach to that. There was a follow-up question around this topic, which was, you mentioned the CRM pulling data from the SIS for current students. Can you talk a little bit more about that? So I think that is where, Wendy, if you do now go to maybe the next slide and beyond CRM into the SIS, and then maybe even the next slide, what other data in the SIS might you need to pull into the CRM to bring to life? Right? So things like maybe tuition payments. Who has paid their tuition? Who has not paid their tuition? Who has not registered for courses next semester? Who has a low GPA? These might be indicators that if we can bring into the CRM and assign a task to an academic advisor or student counselor, reach out, engage with the student, see what we can do. So that is how you might use that kind of data beyond admissions and student success type data. Okay, I know I'm jumping around a lot. There was a question just around cost structure and Salesforce and how we all work. We have a slide for everything. We don't have the slide in this particular slide deck, but yes, we are built on top of Salesforce. So typically a school would adopt the platform, Salesforce, and maybe that's, if you can go to that slide, Wendy, just the platform and product slide, just to put a picture to a word here, but basically, a client would engage with the platform, and then we are one of those products, of which there are many products on the Salesforce platform, that one might adopt to make Salesforce into that system. Yeah, this one here. So our approach is to say, adopt the Salesforce platform. You do have a direct relationship with Salesforce, of course. Our clients, we encourage our clients to come to us on everything anyway. We have a tremendously great relationship with our clients. We support them very closely. They come to us with all questions. But if it's something beyond our control, if it's a platform related issue that Enrollment Rx is unable to solve for them, they still, of course, have that direct relationship with Salesforce. And then they procure Enrollment Rx's products through Enrollment Rx. And both the solution, the platform, and Enrollment Rx are priced based on typically volume of users. So a school with 10 users would pay one price. A school with 100 users, admissions counselors, admissions advisors, recruiters, etc., would pay a different price. And of course, we have both. There are other questions. I'm definitely going out of order. I do see that there's a question about Salesforce and their solutions versus Enrollment Rx. Look, obviously, we want to be good partners to our great partner, Salesforce. We're never going to say anything that's going to badmouth anything that anyone else does. We want to speak just about Enrollment Rx and the positivity that Enrollment Rx brings to the table and the success that Enrollment Rx brings to the table. We will leave it to clients to determine what is the mature solution that they're looking for. Enrollment Rx, we've been making Salesforce rad since 2008. We have very comprehensive, very well-built products that are designed to empower a person such as Wendy to do everything that Wendy just showed you today. And we would put that up against any other solution on Salesforce or not on Salesforce. Can it make that same promise? Can it provide that same level of mature functionality and composability to make the system completely comprehensively rad? And we believe we have done that. Of course, our job is never finished. This is enterprise software, so it's never finished. We're always delivering upgrades. We're always delivering new releases and enhancements. But we've been doing it for almost now 15 years. And so we think we've definitely crossed a lot of those bridges that maybe others have not yet. Okay, so I know that Jason has also put out a survey, but Wendy, were there questions that I've skipped over?
Yes, there's a couple. There's one question actually about, are these custom configurations done by Enrollment Rx or by the university? And I can jump in and answer that to say that part of our engagement with any institution is that we do have an implementation. Our implementation is very much focused on that train the trainer approach, where our team would work with your teams in order to make sure we understood your business processes and then build out the solution. But during that time, we're going to make sure that we are teaching your admins on how to control and maintain it, so that when you do have a change to your software or your application, or you want to add new events, etc., that power resides, that composable software power resides with your institution. Now, of course, we're going to provide you unbelievable support during our partnership together through a searchable online knowledge base. We do a event every year, our training event. It's our summer school where we continue to teach you about our products. We upgrade them. So in essence, we will teach you how to do it, but we will always be there to support you along the way. That was one question. There was also a question, actually two-parter, Lawrence, two different ones kind of stacked together. The first one has Enrollment Rx always been with the Salesforce platform? And then somebody also asked, does Salesforce integrate with Microsoft Dynamics?
Yeah, sure. So yes, Enrollment Rx has always been built on the Salesforce platform. So since 2008, Enrollment Rx's strategy was we're going to take Salesforce and we're going to figure out how to make it successful for college admissions and university admissions. Our approach has always been even more unique within our ecosystem in that we have built products on Salesforce. So we don't just custom configure Salesforce as a custom project for every client. We have built products that we're implementing and supporting that make Salesforce into that rad solution, right? Into that system for recruitment, admissions, and decisions. But we've always been built on Salesforce. All of our products are actually what they would say is 100% natively built on Salesforce. They require Salesforce in order to operate. Our products do not work without Salesforce in place as the underlying platform. So that is related to the other question of Microsoft Dynamics. Our products do not work on Microsoft Dynamics and are built to operate on Microsoft Dynamics as a CRM platform. Of course, Microsoft Dynamics is a competing CRM platform to the Salesforce platform. We chose to build everything on Salesforce. We could have chosen to build on Dynamics, but we chose to build on Salesforce for the reasons that we've indicated. We think Salesforce is the most future-proof CRM platform. Now, of course, we can integrate with Microsoft Dynamics. If there's a scenario where a client says, well, we have Dynamics in place for undergrad, but we want to put Salesforce in place for grad, and we need undergrad data to feed the Salesforce CRM so that we can recruit those students for the graduate program. Now, of course, these are all options, of course. But if you're asking, can you buy our products from Enrollment Rx and run them on Microsoft Dynamics? If that is the question, then the answer is no, you cannot do that. You would need Salesforce in order to operate. Okay.
Another question I can answer this part was, I assume that the CRM uses Salesforce for communication plans. Is that correct? Yes. So at Enrollment Rx, we will be utilizing Salesforce's communication tools like Marketing Cloud, Pardot. And then there are oft times when schools have made a choice to use a different non-Salesforce based communication tool, and we can work on that in terms of integration. But yes, we would be utilizing Salesforce's communication tools most often in our implementations. There's also a question about, oh, sorry, go ahead, Lawrence.
No, I think you were probably going to talk SMS. Is that what you were going to ask?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah,
Go ahead,
perfect.
please.
So same goes with the texting solutions SMS. There's some, again, going back to what Lawrence mentioned about being on the platform. One of the things that I, as a user, really enjoyed about being on Salesforce and Enrollment Rx was that there's the ability to do kind of a best of breed. So pick out the tools that work the best on the platform for me at my institution. Now with text messaging, SMS, there's options out there in the Salesforce ecosystem. We can always talk more about those. And some of the Salesforce's communication tools also include that. And so, yeah, so bulk email services, Salesforce allows for transactional emails, so that like, thank you for applying kind of one-to-one email can reside in Salesforce itself, but those bulk mass marketing messaging that is going out, that would come from one of Salesforce's communication tools, or again, because Salesforce is built on such a open and strong API, there is the ability to integrate other communication tools at that direction of your institution.
Yeah, I would say, sorry, Wendy, I was just going to say, I would say at least half of our clients, if not more, probably use the Salesforce tools from a marketing perspective. And then others are using other solutions out there in the world that integrate well with Salesforce as well. And I think I forgot to answer the upgrades question, which was posed. How often are we releasing major upgrades? So Enrollment Rx, the product company that we are, we release upgrades. Of course, Salesforce, the platform company, is also releasing upgrades. Enrollment Rx endeavors to align our upgrades with Salesforce's upgrades. And Enrollment Rx endeavors to do 2 major product releases per year. And we've certainly followed that track. When I say endeavors, sometimes we've done 3. So, but we are really trying to get it to 2 major releases per year rather than 3 or more, because it's just more organized for our clients in that regard. So we do 2 major releases per year. They are major releases. They come with huge new innovations, new enhancements, most often inspired by our clients and their requests, which again, over 14 now, almost 15 years of admissions projects, making Salesforce into a system for recruitment and admissions, we have been asked, we think, almost everything that the school could ask thus far, and we have addressed that in our products. So we have built our products to make Salesforce into that system. We are coming out with 2 new releases a year. Salesforce as a platform, I believe, also is on 2 or 3 per year. So that is the alignment. And then, of course, we put out a ton of materials, webinars, trainings. We have a user knowledge base at Enrollment Rx that is a searchable knowledge base, a website that you can go and type in whatever you're trying to look up, and of course it's going to return back the results. And then we also do annually at Enrollment Rx, we do a summer school where we do this year was a month-long event, virtual event because of COVID, where we did summer school, where we are training and talking and previewing our releases and making sure that our admin users, that our clients are supported there.
And kind of along the line there about upgrades, a question was asked about multiple test environments, including one for upgrade. And yes, depending on your Salesforce licensing, there is your production org, which is your live data. And then Salesforce also provides sandboxes. There's different kinds of them, full copy, developer, etc. So as part of really any best practices when it comes to upgrading software, we always encourage our clients to test in their sandbox first to make sure that everything is going the way they expect before installing in production. So again, that would be based on your Salesforce licensing, but there are full sandboxes down to developer and partial sandboxes available. There were some actually earlier questions I think we accidentally forgot to answer. So I want to actually go back to one of the earlier questions. Kay asked, who sees the reviewer feedback, the application reviewer feedback? Do you want me to jump in for that one, Lawrence?
Please,
yeah, okay, perfect. Okay, great. So inside the reviewer feedback, so that's a great question. And the answer is there's a lot of options there. So some schools we work with have a multiple level review. So meaning, for example, I, in my role, might review an application, provide my reviewer feedback, and then perhaps based on the decision moves to say Lawrence, for example. Now it's up to the institution to determine whether or not you want the next reviewer to see that previous review. So if it is kind of a blind review that you're doing, you can parse out that data. Or if it's one where you do want them to see the additional reviewer to see the previous review, that's also possible as well. So we store it all in Salesforce Speak into an object related to the application. So in essence, it's internal, the reviewer feedback, and a school can determine who at the institution is able to see the review feedback. Is there anything you want to add to that, Lawrence? Or
no, I think you hit it right on the head. I mean, it's roles and profiles driven to speak Salesforce technical language, but the governance is configured as we would describe it. It's user driven. What user has access to the system and what should they see when they have access to the system. And then the really amazing part that if you're not completely familiar with Salesforce, much of what we showed you today, Salesforce, the platform, doesn't provide out of the box. That's where our product makes it composable so that you can set that logic. So it's not just what the Salesforce user can see in the system, but really beyond that, if we're talking RAD, if we're talking application data, if we're talking what can they score, what kind of feedback should they be providing, that kind of logic, that's where Enrollment Rx's products come in to give you that further layer of configurable control to say this is what this particular user can see, whether it's the reviewer, whether it's the applicant, whether it's staff members, admissions counselors, what have you.
Great. And there was a question, once students are admitted, they get a university email and need to use the university credentials to log into email, student system, etc. Do you update the CRM with an integration to use the university credentials versus what the prospective student originally set up? And I could jump into and say Salesforce, the platform also supports single sign-on. So I will use my previous institution. We were a banner school. And so part of our process was once a student was admitted, they moved over to Banner in order to be issued their university credentials, their ID, their email address. Brought that data back into Salesforce, and then we were able to provide that information to students so they can continue to, or they can begin to leverage that single sign-on, that university credentialing in order to move into using that in the future. Same thing, single sign-on too for university employees as well, so that if you are using single sign-on in order to access certain systems at your university, you can also include that with Salesforce as well.
Awesome. Wendy, I don't know if we got this one, but I see it here. There was a question around telephony integration, RingCentral, Avaya. I mean, of course, the Salesforce platform supports extensive telephony integration, including those. So yeah, I mean, it's not something Enrollment Rx provides as a product, but it's certainly the Salesforce platform supports, and there are clients out there that are using that kind of integration with their telephony system. It just depends on your telephony system.
Great. And then there was one more.
Wendy and Lawrence, we are about at time here. Were there any final thoughts? I would say if there's any outstanding questions, people can definitely feel free to get in contact with you. We can talk about a couple ways to do that, but I just want to kind of get any final thoughts from you all as we're a little past time.
Yeah, most definitely. I did want to note about our raffle. We are hosting a raffle. So Jason, if you wouldn't mind dropping that in the chat if you haven't already done so, but we would love for you to fill out our raffle. We're giving away a $100 Amazon gift card, and who can't use Amazon gift cards? So we would encourage you to fill that out as well. And then I'll turn to Lawrence to wrap us up for Enrollment Rx.
I just want to thank everybody again for attending. We really appreciate it. Hopefully we've given you a small taste of what is possible on Salesforce. There's so much more, as we've indicated. There's other use cases beyond applicant portal, parent portal, there's international agent portals, there's student portals, there's so much more. So please feel free to get in touch with us, check out our website. We'd be happy to talk to you about it. And
thank you all.
Yeah, thank you so much, Wendy. Thank you, Lawrence. Really appreciate it. And thank you everyone for your incredible questions. Just a couple reminders that there is the online poll in front of you. If you haven't taken the moment to fill that out, we'll keep the room open. But you can fill out that information there, and you can also leave your contact information to follow up with any questions you have. I'd also direct you to look at the course site, which is where we have the Enrollment Rx page. You can also drop your contact information there and look at their resources. That is also where the recording for the session will be posted should you want to revisit any of that information. And obviously, we encourage you to attend the rest of our sessions. We'll be going till 5 p.m. Eastern today. So we have 6 more presenters for enterprise CRMs. On behalf of EDUCAUSE, this is Jason Martin. Thank you so much.
Thank you.